She's a very freaky girl. The kind of girl that come to my mind. And she will never let your spirits down. Hello, hello everyone. How are you? Hi JaVale, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me. Super freak. There's a bug in here. I don't even know. Hey JaVale, how are you doing? Thanks for joining this evening. Or tonight. I keep saying evening, but how are the boys? Y'all like my song? Super freak. Yeah. Super freak. Super freak. All right. How's everything? Oh, I'm well. Hope you are too. Yes, I am. Thanks so much for asking. Hey, Ruby. How are you? Hey, Sharice. Thanks so much for joining. I didn't choose that song. My girls did. Once they heard the title. I can believe it. The misters are here, are doing the same thing as well. All over the place. Hey, Mary. Oh my goodness, I see Miss Tamika Sims on here. That means I'm going to have to work a little extra hard on this time with this topic. Girls all with me. Yeah. I love Rick James. That era, that time, that is just like, you know. People forget now. So what is one of your best memory to that song? Dance, what was it? Hey Jackie. Yeah. I can tell you one of my favorite memory to Rick James and this particular song was in Alabama. We had this roller ring. We used to go roller skating all the time, and that was the song that we roller skated to all the time. And I'm gonna tell you something, I thought I could dance off of that. All right, are y'all about ready to dive into this topic? I think it's pretty interesting. What about you? I let it play it all the way out because it's just one of those jamming songs. That girl's alright with me. Yeah. Man, Rick. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Rick is one bad fella. How's everybody doing this evening? I am so glad you're here. Oh wow, it's been a long day, but it was a great day. I hope everybody had some barbecue or enjoyed your family, got out and just roamed around the city. But I wonder how that was with those gas prices being so high. Well, now I'm ready to just dive into our topic, but before I do, I just want to I'm gonna have to throw a little disclaimer about here. So before I break that down, let me introduce our topic, which is celibacy. Can we be in a relationship with ourselves or yourself? Can you be in a relationship with yourself? That is the question that we are asking tonight. Angel Brown. Yeah, that is the question that we're asking tonight. Can you be in a relationship with yourself? Now, before we begin, I want to throw some disclaimers into this one. And the reason for it being is, as you know, introducing myself, I am Juanita McDonald with Rediscover Me. Rediscover Me stands on the 3 pillars of lost identity plus lost self-esteem equals lost purpose and direction. And so this particular topic came from last night's viewer, Miss Angela Gilmore, and she actually wanted to kind of talk about it. We talked today for a minute, and she pointed out how women, older, when we break up or end a relationship and automatically jump back into another relationship, and how we never take time out to stop and I guess meditate or think or focus on ourselves and what transpired, how it affected our body, how it affected our mind, and so also looking at how long should you be in celibacy and all that thing. So these are the questions that I want us to answer, or I want us to discuss tonight. And when you look at this particular topic, focus on the fact that, number one, this is an open community, a safe community for women to have open dialogue. I'm asking that we talk with respect. I'm asking us to focus on the fact that this is primarily, it's not about a relationship, because I'm not a relationship coach. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm none of those things. I am just here for us to talk about personal healing, personal development, personal strengthening, renewing of the mind, and using this platform, this topic, and what we do as a means of helping maybe some sister out there who is trying to figure out, what is a safe zone for herself and her body, and how it should be treated, and the things that she should be considering in it. So with that being said, let's get down to our very first question that I want to throw out: celibacy. Oh, and I will be looking down, so it's no form of disrespect. I take notes, as you know, and I try to do a little extra research on it. And so, before I do that, I dive into that first question. I wanted to throw this poem at you that I thought was pretty interesting. And this will give you an opportunity to start thinking about your questions and thinking about the things that I'm putting out there. But Christopher Andrews Crotis wrote this poem, and it states, "My celibacy. 1 whole year of abstaining. Now that is a record for me. And I'm growing strong without the want of flesh." Hi, Nalorance. "Something within me is coming out, the change of the powerful sort. All is going to plan. Each word a grain of sand. This is the power of celibacy, the pure frame of soul. I am becoming a disciple of light. It builds in such a holy way. I am strong I am stronger than I have ever been. A storm is coming, and I will dance, and the sound of it is thunder." Wow. Now, hey, Matt. This particular poem, I thought it was pretty interesting. And so hi, Andrea. It means one thing to me, but it may mean something else totally to you. I like the fact that it says something within me is coming out. So when, if you are abstaining from if you are a person who is abstaining from sex in a state of celibacy, how does it affect you? How does it affect you mentally, physically, spiritually? I guess that's the main thing that I'm looking for. How does that affect you? Do you find yourself going through phases, like a person that, might have had a habit? Or are you okay? Are you at a place where you're okay with abstaining from sex? Tell me, what do you think? What are you going with? What are you dealing with? Or are you at that state? Or have you ever been in that state? Because everybody is not there, or Some people may be. And, you know, all of that is pretty okay. So, and I know it's one of those topics that we don't really delve into so often, I guess you can say. I know that for my girls, they went through, when they were young, they went through the chastity program at church. And, you know, and most churches do this, and they have a means of separate, you know, of giving young ladies an opportunity, of giving young ladies biblical principles on safe modes for how they address their body. And so I guess with us, the one thing that I thought about is, what was the very first thing? You know, how were you also introduced to about your body? You know, what were those conversations? Did you have it with your mom? Did you learn more so with the girls in the bathroom, or the guys telling you what to do? Or did you have that little heart to heart and that self-awareness of learning about the changes, the body changes, understanding the needs and the wants of the body, you know? Or I guess the other thing is did it just, you just all of a sudden had sex and didn't know anything? You know, though these are forms of conversations that, you know, some people are okay with having, and some people struggle. They struggle with that. And I noticed that, you know, and I also invited a couple of guys on to be on as well. So hopefully they will participate. I do see Matthew Keith on here, and I'm glad to see you, Matt. But it will give us also an opportunity to hear a little bit from the men, if they are open and brave to share with us about how they feel. So I don't think I don't know if my phone if my system has frozen or not. So send me a heart or something and let me know people are here. Is that my phone? No, those are my glasses. All right. Well, I see numbers, but I don't see people. So I don't know if there has been a glitch in my internet or something, and it shouldn't have. Oh, okay. Okay. I see Renee. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see it. I was just a little struggling. I didn't know if it was frozen, because last night my system froze and I didn't know it had frozen, and I didn't see the strolls or the conversation that was going on. There was a ton of conversation that was going on. So okay, back to the subject at hand. Hey Devlon, back to the subject at hand. I thought this was a very interesting topic tonight, and going back to the young lady who introduced this topic. And I don't think she mind me talking because she's not on here as of yet, but I'm certain she will be. But what she looked at was that, you know, she's been out of a relationship, but she is a romantic at heart. You know, she's a romantic at heart. And so all of these questions, and it's not a young person, she's an older person. So she's having all of these questions about the time frame for being celibate. You know, she's also questioning and looking at her life and how it transpired, the mistakes she made, the type of relationship she's had in the past. And so all of those things play a major factor into our self-esteem. Hey, she's finally on here. So you know, all of those things play a factor into our self-esteem. And so, you know, does not being in a relationship affect you to a certain degree, or what? You know, how do you feel about sustaining from sex, or how do you feel about having to be in a relationship continuously? What effects does that have on you? So that is our question. What effect does that have on you? Now, when we break down the word celibacy, we see that it is a state of abstaining from marriage and sexual relationships, which most people already know. But now, we also know that everybody doesn't sustain. So, and that's cool. Now, there's this one particular quote that comes from Kay Furlick, which states, although most are unaware that, what does that say? Unaware, the most prevalent way sex is used, it is in the form of, okay, yeah. Let me hold off on that one. But going back to our relationships, I want to think about, the introduction, going back to the form of introduction. How were you introduced to sex? Now, for me, I had I didn't have a heart-to-heart conversation with my mom. My mother mostly just told me what I better do, what I better do, and how I better act, but I was never. It was never broken down to me about how the body works. How, about the feelings that we actually get, how to sustain those feelings. I didn't have all of that. And what I've came to realize with it is that when I did begin to go through that, it was like I grew up in the country, so let me put that part out. I grew up in the country, and so in the Bible Belt of Alabama, so therefore, it was more biblical. It was, what you shouldn't do, what you can't do, what you could, but I never was spoken to from the perspective of educating me and teaching me. And so, yes, I do have 5 children, but I took it upon myself to learn. And because I was just that curious, I took it upon myself to learn about my body. But it took me a while to understand that, like for me, I do have 5 children, and those, I couldn't take birth control. My body I'm that percentage that the birth control does not work for. So in sustaining, I didn't know anything about being abstinent, or that wasn't discussed. And so, I didn't learn the clock and all of that stuff from my mom. I actually had to, like I say, I had to learn it all by myself. I had to make those steps. Shamika say my mother gave us the birds and the bees talk, yet for the most part, information about relationships and sex came from friends and what I read. Yeah, and I think that is one of the biggest things that most people do is most women. I don't know about the men, but most women, our information comes from other women or what we read. And then we turn around and pass on that same information over to our daughters. And so then what that does is that hinders her and all from growing and knowing what makes their body work, what makes it ticks, and how to control certain things, certain urges, or whatever the case may be. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out was how in relationships, or basically with sex, do we use sex as a manipulative? Hi, Eugenia. Do we use sex as a form of manipulation? That was another question I wanted to point out. Do we use sex as a form of manipulation? And Kay Furlick, which is what I was about to break down, states that although most are unaware of the most prevalent way sex is used, it is used in the form of manipulation and control, which occurs most often at a non-conscious level. Now, I'm still questioning that sex being used unconsciously, or the women using sex, or it didn't really say women, it just said that individuals, that sex is used as a manipulative tool of control. So, as we already know, I can definitely say when I've gotten mad when I was married and I didn't want to be bought, if I was mad at him, just leave me alone. Go find a couch, drive away somewhere, I don't care what. But Do we use sex as a manipulative tool for our own purpose? And how is that beneficial, I guess, to you? Not to me, but to you. And I don't see Angela. I'm waiting for her to chime in, because she actually had a lot of questions. And I know she's probably reading everyone's comments and looking, because she was one that had a lot of questions pertaining to this topic. Oops, 9:50. Well, the other thing that I found is, what is it? When you break the dynamics down in a relationship, it is to a certain degree used as a tool. It is used as a form of control, a form of manipulation, and as a bargaining tool. Individuals use that as a means of, I've heard women say, oh, if I can get what I want if I hold out, in marriage, I guess you could say, in their marriage or in their relationship. But doesn't that still fall into the area of low self-esteem? It's sort of like a pimping yourself out form mode. And you might be saying, I may be using the wrong word, but you might be saying, if that's my man, or I'm in this relationship, I'm married to him, it's my body, I can do what I want to with it. But, try not to do it from a biblical perspective, but, if you're in a marriage, then the two becomes one. And if the two becomes one, then that form of taken away, if it's not done in an agreed manner, which, like I said, most people use whenever they are fasting, or that those are the avenues that I know of, or they just plain out tired, but mostly during fasting phases, marriages are, husband and wife will separate from one another as a form of giving up something in honor of God. But now, outside of that, what are you dealing with? What are you looking for? And what occurs in that mechanism of control. So now, when you think, when I look at it, I still go back to when I was married, and trust me, it's been some years. I don't even know how long, but I've been divorced for some years. And when I'm no stranger to celibacy, because I just had certain standards, because I had mostly daughters, and as they grew, I didn't have anyone come. I didn't want to have men or a man living with me or in my house or around my daughters, because they were I knew that they were looking at me. So I was setting the standard to how a woman's supposed to carry herself based off of what I knew was right. And so in the midst of that, I waited for years before I actually got into a serious relationship. And by that time, most of my kids were grown. But that's why I say, with me, I'm not a stranger to celibacy, but I just realized I'm just one of those hard knock women that I hold strong values for myself. And in holding strong values for myself, I want to be able to, when I do get married, to be able to submit myself to an individual that is on the same level as I am. Angela is on, and she says that is so true. And most of the time, what our friends told us wasn't always true. That's right. Oh, she's going back to when we were discussing how do we first learn about sex. And so what she, and she was, and for her, it sounds like Angela also learned the same thing about not sex, but a sex and her body. She actually learned about it from her friends, but never had that true intimate conversation and explaining to the point where you understand and know how the body works and the mechanism of it. And so, but like I said, going back to what I was just saying, the hardest thing to do is to sustain. Hi, Miss LaVon. the hardest thing that you can do is sustain. And some of us make a commitment to do it just that particular way, but then sometimes, it just happened that, I guess you can say, there's a dry season, so you're thrust into it. So if you're thrust into it and you're having a dry season, how does that affect you mentally? How does that affect you mentally? Are you, let's see, are you just in it? Oh, okay. Angela asked the question, what do you think about celibacy and dating in today's society? What do each of you think about celibacy and dating in today's society? Now, you can say correct. It took learning my body and what I liked and disliked. True. That's true. You have to learn about you. And it still goes back to who am I? So, in today's society, I'm going to say, I believe that media plays a great factor, because it seems like just about everything is about sex, skinny women and sex. And so, with that being said, I don't think that, and I think that some of us may play into that factor that everyday life is about that and not about intimate relationship with self. And so I think if a person decides to make a commitment to be celibate in today's society and the partner agrees, I think that that's number one, an honorable commitment, and it can be a psychological one, because number one, when you start dealing with that choice, and when you start dealing with those urges, it does play with that mental allegory really bad, because the biggest thing that kicks in is that trust. You're making a commitment to trust one another, and hi Brandon, you're making a commitment to trust one another, and you're making a commitment to walk a particular path. But I think the emotions start pulling you back and forth. You tell me, but I think the emotions start pulling you back and forth. And so when you choose to do that, you have to have some boundaries, or not necessarily some boundaries, as well as some guidelines to help get you through it. How long are you going to sustain, or just to stay within that celibate state? What will be your factors to help not have to deal with that trust issue? What how will you conduct yourself when you're going to be around? Because when you think about it, again, it goes back to the flesh. The flesh at times can be weak. You're wanting a relationship, but you also know, it goes back to that little topic I had just the other day, how you can be pulled both ways. You want one thing, but then you need to do the other. And so stepping into this area of celibacy takes a strong will. I believe it takes a strong will. But then let me play devil's advocate and get you to think about, a bad breakup. And you're thrust back, and I said this earlier, you're thrust into a form of a state of celibacy. Does that bad breakup cause you to be more skeptical about going back into a relationship? Does it scar you? Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. But does that relationship scar you to the point that it's hard for you to make that turn to a relationship? Does that affect you? And I know that any form of hurt creates that little mini hole inside, and when it creates that mini hole inside, it has to be filled. But for some people, instead of filling that hole and taking the time to understand the hurt, understand the pain, understand where you are in life, that hole become filled by sex. That hole become filled by, that connection, that touch, that feel, that human body. But have you fixed the problem? Yeah, Brandon, correction, using you. Yes, thank you, Brandon. I am a vessel. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, but when you think about it, this morning I did an interview, and the biggest thing that I talked about was the brokenness. We all are broken, and we all become broken. And what we fail to do once we become in that state is we never stop. We just keep moving, because life is constantly moving, and cycles are going, and everything is turning faster and faster and faster. And so we feel like we have to move constantly to keep up. But we never slow down to stop and think, and to heal, and to fix, and to build. Now, Angela states, how many single women out there in the world would still be in a relationship if they stop putting out? Does he respect your mind, or is it all about your behind? Okay, y'all chime in. Angela has a question. How many single women out here in the world still would be in a relationship if they stop putting out? Does he respect your mind, or is it about your behind? For me, I would say, I believe that he would respect you, but let me rephrase that. He's going to respect you if you stop putting out, but it's also going to make him step up. What I feel like we as women have forgotten is that you have tremendous power. And I'm not saying using your body as power. I'm saying setting the standard. Setting the standards and as to how you will be treated. What is right for you in the time and space that you're in. What's right for you? How will you allow that person to don't want to use the word dictate, but how would you allow how can the male lead you if he doesn't respect you, honor you, and take and cover you as he's supposed to? Now, when you think about it, it goes back to the conversation we had with the word submissive. We pick and choose the part of that word, the Bible that we want to use, and that word, and we use that as a form of control, just like sex is used for a form of control, and we fail to use it from the perspective that it was placed in Ephesians. So when you break that word down, or you look at that, when an individual, and I'm not trying to be preachy, or I'm not trying to sway you more to a biblical principles. I just want to get you to understand the word submissive, and because I used it, and when I was trying not to use it at all, so that's my fault. I apologize. But and I probably need to just strike away from that subject. But what I feel about when a man is with a woman and honoring a woman, and he know what you stand for, because he will know what you stand for when you tell him. He's not going to know what you stand for if you are quiet and timid, because sometimes we go with the flow, even though the flow does not go with us, and we accept it. And so if you have a good relationship to a point that both of you can have open dialogue, trust, and respect, then that person already know what you stand for. And generally, they seen it but based on how you carried yourself, because that's what attracted them. But I think sometimes, because of the brokenness and the mental allegory, we feel like we have to give ourselves. We break that celibacy just for the sex, because we think the sex is going to hold the person. And that goes back to manipulation and control. You cannot, hi Miss Kawan, you know, the body, you know, using the body to control a situation does not help or benefit you. It only causes additional hurt and despair, which becomes compartmentalized inside of the brain and leads to other forms of hurt and despair that's being brought into another relationship. So going back to the word celibacy, and let's look at the word. Let's look at this other question: is sex becoming, and I think Angela touched bases on this, a social means to deflect, becoming a social means? And to that, I will say the same thing. I feel like it is. It's becoming a social means. The word love seems to be removed, and when you break the word love, we have a male chiming in. Brandon says the right man will wait, and it's a filter for those who aren't. A real man needs a queen, not a pawn, to build a foundation of communication. Angela, there's your answer. It goes right back. The right man will wait for you. And it's not like you have to rush into a relationship. Again, it goes, you know, thinking about how time is, how fast it seems like everything is chiming. Even the days seem to be shorter. And everything is in a race mode. But you don't have to be. I don't have to be. Must be deep. Okay, it must be deep. But did you catch what Brandon said? And he's representing the males on here. You know, and I think we would love to hear some of the other females and hear what you have to say, because you know, I look at it like this: if one person have this question, it has to be a lot of us having the same question, and then how do we come to the answer of it? But again, as I was saying about social media, then emotion. Oh, Sydney. Hey, Sydney. But yeah, that's another one. Okay, now, how did you? Okay, this other question that was put out, that was actually put out, was pertaining to. I think Angela also pointed out something that was very intricate this morning. And Angela, I don't know the person, so I'm sharing your information. She talked about. She actually had a conversation with a young couple who actually was taking this walk, and so I wonder, you know, to what degree would, if we taught. Yes, Sydney, you are late. But I'm glad you're here. But I wonder to what degree would today's kids be, or children, young ladies and gentlemen be, if they were taught to wait and to think about themselves. Let's look at something else. Let's think, you know, let's look at when we look at ourselves. If you are in that place like Angela in your questioning, what would be an avenue of, I guess, challenge, a call to action? What would be one of the things that you could do that would give you that personal, intimate relationship with self? Yes, Amber is late also. Her and Sydney both on the same boat. If you are just joining us, Sydney and Amber, we are talking about celibacy. Can you be in a relationship with yourself? Can you be in a relationship with yourself? And Sydney, Angela would like to know, what do you think? Can you be in a relationship with yourself? Brandon just said that a woman that chooses to wait instead of having an intimate relationship with a man, and the man is, if it's the right man, a man that loves the woman, is in an intimate relationship, that he would be, the right man would wait. And so Sydney said yes. She didn't elaborate, but she said yes. A woman you can be in a relationship with yourself. What I can say about Sid She's a good friend of mine, and she's very strong, a very strong woman. But and she takes, I've seen her take control of her life and project her destination and what works best for her, and how it works best for her. But everybody doesn't have that ability. Everybody is not that strong. Some of us are weak. So if that is you, what parameters do you put in place? What do you do? I missed some of my phone. I'm sorry. Because if I cannot love myself, I would not expect anyone. And that's true. That's true. So that goes back to what, close to the end of what I was going to talk about, self-love. You know, how do you self-love? What do you do for yourself that shows you that you love you? Am I saying that right? That's a lot of yous. Do you understand what I'm saying? What do you do outside of, and let's put some parameters on it, because I think when we look at self-love, it's okay, see it. I think the system is designed for it to be slow also. But how do we self-love? When you look at putting the parameters on doing something to show yourself that you have self-love, it has to be something that does not focus on the adorning of the body, the hair, the makeup, the clothes, the accessory. You know, let's take that out of the picture and answer this specific question. What would be a means of showing yourself that you are loved more, that you can love yourself more than sex, more than a man, more than anything? What are avenues that works best for you? Same itchy. When you think about it, when I think about it, as people are thinking about that question, I like to take self-meditations, and most people that know me, bucket list, self-achievement and hobbies. Yes, that, I think Brandon, my friend Sid is on here, and she and I completed a bucket list. As most people know, we went zip lining, and hey Lolita, and this older man told us that it will be the most fulfilling thing. Okay, Sid say, every day I find something to love. My health, my friends, my laughter. Wow, yes. See, that's outside of that parameter of adornment. Because when you have to force yourself to see outside of the mirror, outside of that mirror. Because every day it's not going to always be pretty. But you still have to find something about yourself to love. Okay, Miss Ellison. I have been celibate for 10 years. I was married 20 years before my divorce. I made a commitment to God that I would wait. While in my waiting season, I asked God to teach me how to love Him. So when he says see more. So for sex, you will not be demand for a person is just as broken as you. Exactly. In celibate is not easy walk. I have learned when you know how to love yourself, you will not settle for just sex. You will not be demand of, yeah, that's right. That's right. Miss Carolyn. Okay, I don't know what I did. I attempt to take time to explore different aspects of myself. That goes back to what's similar to Sydney. Miss Carolyn makes a very, very strong point. She makes a very strong point. It's not about time. I don't think it will ever be. Celibacy will not ever be about time. Celibacy is about just the personal intimacy, and you cannot cap time on it, because if you put a time frame on it, have you really healed? or have you compartmentalized? Those are the two. Have you healed or have you compartmentalized? So if you put a time limit on it and you don't go through the necessary steps, yeah, I think Miss Carolyn just hit it right on the head for all of us. She hit it right on the head. And Miss Carolyn, if you can chime in, I would love to know what are some of the things that you do outside of meditation to to keep yourself focused and to help you prepare yourself for the mate that God is sending you. And I didn't use it in the past tense. So how would you use that? And as we're waiting for that, let's gosh, this is a good topic. This is a very good topic. Now, going back to that compartmentalization is, and I guess for me with Angela, that I'm wondering is, do you feel like you have to have a time frame, or are you just looking at the whole, just analyzing where you're at this state of life and what you're trying to do? Or do you feel like you have to be in a relationship? I'm curious about that one. That's just a personal one for me. Long walks, meditation, and reading. Yes. But what type of reading, Mika, would you be into? Because, I guess I'm wondering, does the Harlequin romance, does that create problems to where you're constantly thinking and causes you to be in that agitated mode from tension of wanting to be in a relationship? Or are you reading on personal developments and things that build you up and help you to strengthen yourself as a woman? Buffer. This bench I'm sitting on is hard. So now I can definitely say for me, I kind of fall in the same category as Miss Carolyn again. Most people that know me know that really, reality, God may not see in you a mate, Juanita. That's fine. That is perfectly fine. I'm one of those people that I am so happy with me. I love me. And what I can definitely say is that if I had not have learned the real me and rediscovered who I really am, what makes me happy, what makes me tick, how adventurous I am, I would probably be one of those people who are just, capped on not having a relationship, or capped on not, I can't talk. One of those people who would be capped into having that ongoing, conversation with a man. I would be really messed up. But I can truly say that I have definitely learned to love myself. And explain, Renee. Would that make you more tense or less tense? And when you look at what Sydney pointed out, based off of principle of biblical principles, one man to 7 women, that could be a reality. But when you are, I think for me, walking in my walk and being confident in who I am, I don't think that it's going to cause me to tilt over and die because I don't have a man. That would never be me. Oh, okay. No. So, okay, she said, no. I mean, God may not send a mate. Yeah, that's true. It's still the same thing. Even, based off of what you just asking about the books. Okay. It rolled, so I didn't see it. So you'll have to punch it back in, Renee, so that way I will know what that was. But and And I think that's what, I think that's where some women are why that rush is in there too, Sydney, is being so, I don't have a ring, I don't have a wedding, I don't have the mate, I don't have, we start telling ourselves all the things that we don't have, and we start counting down the months and the years that we have not had it, and then all of a sudden we're in that panic mode and wondering, why we don't have that relationship, why are we having to wait for so long. And I think it sort of goes back again to that, who are you? Who is this beautiful being, and what makes you so great? Okay, yes I did. I forgot about that. Yes, I did ask about the Harlequin romance books. Now tell me your answer again. I'm having a menopause moment, right? So, okay. I would be by myself if I had to share with 7 men. It would only be by myself and God. And as a matter of fact, yeah. Hey, Sandy. Yeah. And I think, oh, you tried it. I read a variety of things. I'm at a stage in my life that if I indulge in smut, I'm not bothered by it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. My girls are having an intense conversation, y'all. And they're going back to the Harlequin romance, because I asked the question, reading those books, would it create, tension, stress, and keep you from, having your mind focus more on the sex than on the self. And so my Mika says she's a helpless romantic. It wouldn't bother her. Okay. I'm gonna take her word for it. I don't know. It's 10:22. All right. Well, now, and I like, and I like Miss Lolita. She also pointed out how confident she is and where she's at in her space. With that space, there's no way she would accept a man, being with multiple women, and she is in a relationship with him. And so I noticed that I'm talking more about relationships, and I said I didn't want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about personal development and celibacy. Miss Carolyn says, my aunt once told me, what you want a man to do for you, do it yourself. I learned to date me, take myself out, buy my own roses, God is keeping it, and I want this more. All right. Hey, Jamie. Sorry about that. See, it says she's with Mika. Me too, Renee. I'm content. Yeah. And I don't think, and I think what I know about the women that are on here, most of you that I know of, I know that you ought to be strong women. And I wouldn't expect anything less than the answer, the response that you gave. If it had came out differently, I think I might have been a little bit shocked, but because I know you and I know how, your standards, I see that. But I do think about, young people who might have not had the opportunity to have someone to have a conversation with about their bodies and learning about themselves and what makes them strong and unique, and what are their beauty. Because when you look at the way videos, when you look at the vixen, when you look at all of these things that are going on with our young ladies, they don't know who they are. Hey, Kazmeyer. I don't think about them sad. God gives me the strength to carry on. Yes. But yes, our young ladies have these questions, and they battle with those mental blockers and wondering why, hey honey. See and say, hey family. That's right, Alabama family in the house. But yeah, our young kids, I would love to have more younger ladies on here giving us their spiel. And Cass Meyer, she's also one that can probably chime in and tell us, hey Emily. So Cass Meyer, Emily, all of those that are just joining, we're talking about celibacy. Can you be in a relationship with yourself? And so the question that I'm asking now is, can you sustain by yourself? Can you handle being alone? Can you handle not having an attachment, a male attachment to you or a female attachment to you, or whatever your partner is can you endure that that moment and just learn how to engage in yourself? Hey Emily, happy birthday. You're spending it with us. Thank you. Lolita says she's been for 5 years. Okay. And I, like I say, Lolita, I definitely see that in you, because you fall in that category of that strong woman. You've been through a lot, and you've learned the lessons that are needed in your healing process. Hurt, yes. Are we hurt? Yes, we're all hurt. But we don't stay in that hurt. What would you tell your children and have them be true to themselves? What would you? The first thing that I would say, Renee, with talking to your children would be, who are you? That's going to always be the question I'm going to always ask, is who are you? Because children, as you know, as I know, have multiple personalities. They're acting like their friends at school. They're trying to be like the individuals on television. And then they walk around, they see their moms or their aunties, and then they're trying to be like them. And so they have all of these identities flowing around in their minds. And see it say young people are struggling in a good relationship. Yes, I can see that. So see, does that struggle come from not being educated? Because some of us come from family members who don't know how to educate us about ourselves and our body. Mika say, I practice an open relationship with my daughter. I give her the freedom to openly discuss anything with me. I do this because I would rather give her insight and not allow the world to teach her. Yeah, and it first starts with you. You are your child's first teacher. And but you do have individuals. You can be a mom that's talking to your child, and in order to try to get them to see, to get them to understand who they are and see who that they are, and they're beautiful. They're made in the image of God. But it's going to still be hard for them to see it when they see all of these images on social media. Oops, I'm sorry, Miss Christy, yours went by pretty fast and I didn't get a chance to read it. I apologize. Scared to know their worth. Yeah, they do need, our children need, above all things, they need to know their worth. They need to know that they're beauty, and they also need to know that they control their body, not anyone else, not social media, not the male, not anyone. Their body is very important, and what they do with it is very important as well. And that first starts with you. Let's start with you, helping them to see and understand the beauty of themselves. And when they walk out that door, they need to walk with pride. They need to walk out that door with confidence. Last night, remember when we were talking about our bodies, and I told you, we're made in the image of God. And when you walk in a room, hey, my nieces are in here, so when you walk in a room, you walk in that room with confidence. You walk in that room with strength and power. Letting your light flow, letting your light restructure your heart. It's actually flowing. It's showing who you are. And so Okay, Angela, I do feel we need to take time to love ourselves, and when we do find that special someone, we need to take time to get to know that person before we give up the cookies or until he puts a ring on. Yeah, I do. I agree with you, Angela, because again, that goes back to holding that person. Hey, Theresa, how are you? That goes back to holding him to accountability. Holding to accountability. Because think about it. If you're giving him everything, if you're just submitting everything to this individual and they have all your valued assets, what is he going to bring to you later on? What is he going to bring to you later on? So no, I'm not saying holding out, but setting the standard, and I'm a firm believer, set standards as to what you're going to do, set standards as to, thank you Kazmeyer, set standards as to what you're going to do, set standards as to what is acceptable in your space, and set standards as to how he has to conduct himself, because remember, that individual represents you just as much as you represent him. And when we walk out this door and are presented, we need to be presenting in a manner that is done with dignity, respect, love, honor. They may be words that individuals may say that are not valid today, but they're all, they're valid to me. Yes, Sid, I agree. Know your worth. Amberson, raising 2 young men, I have been pushing for them to know the real you and pushing them to love themselves above all things. To know I'm the leader and that I strive for greatness, to always hold them. Yeah, I think, for men, and Brandon has chimed in a lot. I didn't see any other male chiming in, but Brandon Johnson definitely chimed in. And men that are confident in themselves and are taught to love women, I don't believe that women will have those issues, have the issues that we're talking about tonight with them. But where are they? Where are those men? And are they being taught to the value of a woman? Because like I say, this morning in my interview, that was one of the things that I pointed out to the pastor, was that, hey, I know men that are being taught how to drink and how to party and how to get a woman in bed, but I have yet to see them teaching them how to stand up, how to be accountable, how to cover the house, how to keep that foundation strong, staying in that relationship, staying in that marriage, and building. I'm still looking for that. And when I see it, I see it in some marriages, but then I also see the marriage and it's not so cool. But it all still falls to you. It falls to you, because you cannot control that person. You can only control yourself. And so controlling yourself means that you have to still set standards for yourself and take that whole hard look at what works for you, what is best for you. And that goes to knowing yourself, loving yourself, being intimate with yourself, and setting those standards and boundaries that says, you know what, this isn't going to work. This can't work, and I'm not going to accept it. And it's okay. It's okay. The world will not end if you say no. So if you don't know how to use that word, let's practice it. Stand in that mirror and practice it. No. What time is it? Ooh, it's 10:34. I've kept you guys on here a long time. Thank you so much for joining in on this topic, celibacy. Can you be in a relationship with yourself? I hope that we answered some of the questions. I do feel like it's something that we probably want to chime in on. I want to thank everybody that has been calling me, messaging me, and giving me topics, because what I have been doing is pulling the questions that you have and then doing some research on it. and then coming up with our topic for the night. So I thank you for that. If you have something that you want us to discuss in this community, put it in the comment or direct message me, call me, and we'll talk about it. Okay, that's my good topic, Auntie. Tag me more in your thank you, I sure will. Hold on, this thing here is all of this stuff is going. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and we're gonna have to come up with a topic for tomorrow. I haven't quite put together one. I do have one for the end of the week. We're taking one from my friend Elizabeth Hall. She actually proposed that we talk about our favorite poems. So we're going to have a night of poems. And so I'll post that one and give everybody an opportunity to come up with their favorite poems. I have like 2 of them that I want to present. And so we're going to talk about the poem, talk about what it means to us, and how does it inspire you to keep going and building on it. So think about that as well. But if you have something specific that you would like to talk about tomorrow night, because remember, I am on day 4 of the 30-day Facebook Live. And so if I don't hear anything from anyone as far as with a specific topic, I will probably pull, I will pull from my blogs, and we'll go from there. But definitely, if you want to even continue this conversation tomorrow night, we can delve a little bit more deeper into this topic. Just send me some thumbs up, hearts, whatever, and we can go in it. And if there's something specific that we did not touch bases on, shoot that over to us so we'll know, and we can take a little bit more look into this conversation. Because like I say, I know we kind of scaled it a little bit, and it could have been a little bit more, but I just, like I say, Angela and I talked about it this afternoon, and I kind of threw some stuff together, and I did not do a great job, and I could have done it a lot better. So let us know, and we'll work on it. And I do thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Love you very much. And my ending is: be positive, encourage someone, be respectful. Remember that our Heavenly Father loves you, and so do I. Good night, everybody.